candid conversations, unfiltered opinions, and humor with Abeg Vex podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome again. Tonight is going to be a night of plenty lessons, including for myself. So I have the pleasure of having Mr. Roberto Capodieci with me. Hi, Roberto. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing very fine, very well. Thank you for having me in your show.
Oh, thank you for being here. So, Roberto, I want you to tell our audience about your wonderful experience and expertise because it's going to be a wonderful discussion.
Sure. I mean, about myself, I'm Italian because nobody's perfect, so I need to accept the fact that. But I've been living most of my life outside Italy. I spent my first 18 years of life in Italy, then I spent about 12 years in the United States. Now it's 20 years that I live in Southeast Asia, in the tropical island of Bali, Indonesia, which is 2-hour flight from Singapore, which is a tech hub capital in Southeast Asia. And I always been working in IT being information technology, and now the book from Stephen King, which is something else. And I've been interested in telecommunication since I was a little kid. In the past 10 plus years, and specialize in the centralized system, which are some strange animal, which I can explain you all why it is important, why they're part of the evolution of this historical moment we are living, where information is the king of the commodities. And so just to understand more why we are in this era, in this age.
Absolutely. So before we got on, I was very honest with you that blockchain is something that I am interested in because I am somebody that is very interested in information technology and management, right? I happen to have my degree in informatics, the informatics part of healthcare. Whenever I hear new emerging technology or new advances in technology, it gets me excited. But, with everything, it can be intimidating, right? So in simple terms, what is blockchain?
I have to give a little bit of a preamble here, Blockchain is a technology that's being invented as a solution for something that was the intent to create cryptocurrencies, okay? But it's very important not to confuse the two things together. Cryptocurrency is one of the use cases where blockchain is essential. But I imagine that's why we became famous, because it touched a topic, money, that everybody's interested. They always say blockchain was a solution for hairdresser, probably wouldn't be so popular today now because not many people would have heard about it.
Right.
But as I was saying before, in the age of information, we moved from the analog information to the digital information, right? And if before we had music in a vinyl disc, I'm just saying English, vinyl disc, right? If we had movies in VHS tapes or Betamax, whatever it was, now we moved to have first the CD, DVDs, but then even streaming, right? So through the internet. And this gives high quality and has a very big advantage, which is also a problem on the other side.
Right.
A copy of something, the copy is identical to the original. In the past, if I make a copy of a music cassette, the copy degrades the quality of the audio. So, having an original, it was always an important thing, Now, if I have an MP3 file and make 10 copies, the 11 copies are identical. You don't know which one is the original anymore. So in this world of digital information, we lost the capacity to have the unicity, the singularity. So even documents, if you think an original document, the photocopy was never good as the original. So you can always know which is the original. In an electronic document, the copy is identical to the original. So you don't know which one is the original anymore. Blockchain is the technology that in the world of digital things can create a unicity. In fact, I cannot make a copy and paste of my Bitcoin and give it to you, because if I could do that, it becomes worth zero tomorrow, right? Once I give my Bitcoin to you, I don't have it anymore. And this seems something, nothing special. It's actually a huge revolution. In fact, with the NFTs, people go crazy to buy and spend a lot of money for the image of a monkey or whatever was those things that were said, which was the reason to pay so much money. But the exciting fact that you can own something that is fully digital, you can show that it's yours, and if you sell it to somebody else, you don't have it anymore, else you cannot sell it. And so if you think on the practical aspect of life, it's not anymore the JPEG of a monkey, maybe it's the title of ownership of your car. It cannot be counterfeited. You can pass it to somebody else, and this person is the owner of the car instantly. And the biggest thing is that you don't need the registry office managed by the government that keeps the combination of names next to the owner of the, you are free from the man in the middle. Like in Bitcoin, I don't need to have the financial institution between me and the other person. I can send the Bitcoin directly. That's the freedom of money, right? And so you can apply this logic to everything else. Some together with cryptography, which is a science of mathematics that is very beautiful, that allow to create digital identities. You can sign a digital document cryptographically, and you have a guarantee of something unique. And once you use this document in bureaucracy, example, I need to register at the gym, I need a doctor good health certificate to enter the gym. And in this case, I cannot go home with Photoshop and copy my friend one changing the name. There is the guarantee of the originality. Whose sign is a doctor, whose government authorized to be a doctor to sign, so nobody can improvise themselves as doctors. The document that I can hand over to the gym is the unique piece that the doctor signed, is not a copy, a counterfeit one. And this is something that in many aspects of life can bring huge revolution. Thanks to blockchain. Blockchain, there is this technology invented to manage cryptocurrencies, but useful for many, 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 many other things in this historical moment where digital information is the king of of the moment, right? Is the big asset, the big commodity.
Just as you were talking, especially when we went to, the doctor and, falsifying records and things of that nature, because I am in healthcare and HIPAA is a big thing for us, right? Making sure that a patient's information doesn't end up in the wrong hands, right? So, and I know that in healthcare in general, there's a bit of a hesitancy to jump on the AI bandwagon, right? To have digital advancement. Yes, digital records are used. We have EHR systems and EMR systems. So is it your opinion that blockchain can actually help emphasize that security to make sure that documents are secured and they're authentic?
Yeah, there are so many interesting aspects because once you have unicity, you refer always to the same item and not a copy of it.
Right.
Simple thing. In an email, if I send an email to somebody, this person forward the email to somebody else. The forwarding the email is a little bit misleading because they send a copy of my email to somebody else. Yes. In fact, we have two messages, one from me to the person, one from the person to the other party. But in the case of blockchain, I created the document that is the message. I only send a way for this person to go and see the document. And if he's forwarding to somebody else, he's simply sending somebody else the link to see the document, which is always the same. So you don't have any more copies of the message that go around. So the third person can see that it was originally signed by me, that it happened in a certain moment in time, and is impossible to counterfeit it. Is just to give an idea of the validity of a unicity in something, and the audit that can has all the difference. Somebody can add a comment to the message, then somebody else another comment. You can see the history, who signed. And something that is very beautiful, especially in the world of health, is the time stamping. Time stamping is important. For example, if I break my bone, I do X-rays. These X-rays are time stamped because if I use them in court for an accident, I cannot use 3 years later for another accident, right? And this time stamp is usually purchased from a private company that guarantee the validity of the timestamp, right? So, which means is a point of failure. If somebody is corrupted, let's say it's a very important case, I don't know, and need to change the value of the timestamp,
Right.
they can do it in the record of the computer of the company. While with blockchain, because blockchain saves data in a chains of block of data, right? If one information is saved inside one block, there is no discussion that it has taken place in a certain moment in time,
Right.
in both direction of time. Because I can use a newspaper to prove that something was happening at least in this day,
Right.
but I can use a newspaper from 20 years ago. It doesn't mean I traveled in time, So the newspaper says it happened after the newspaper has been published, but you cannot prove, the before. So this is a very big function, for example, that is important. So there are several interesting aspects. Also, the fact that being decentralized is bottom up. Say, dentists start using blockchain for all the X-ray that people do to their mouth, okay? And they're saved there in the centralized way, and they are my property. Means that if I'm traveling and suddenly I need to go to a dentist in the location I am holidaying, I can just give access to this dentist to all my files directly without them having to call my dentist, ask, And I can even, because a part of cryptography is encryption and decryption, I can even obfuscate part. Think about a single document in an hospital that says that I suffer an embarrassing sickness, okay, and has also the financial aspect because I need to go pay the cashier. I don't want the person in the cashier to see what I'm, but the document should be the same. At the same time, maybe I don't want the doctor to know how much I'm paying for this treatment because maybe I'm a friend of the owner of the hospital and make me give a discount. I don't know, just a silly excuse. But I can encrypt in different way, different part of the documents. So all the financials can be decrypted with keys that are in the end of the financial, but not the doctor. All the medical, even those split in multiple parts, can be decrypted only by. And in this way, my privacy is guaranteed, but the documentation is a single piece that can be always brought around together.
My brain was just, going as you were talking, to be quite honest with you, because I can think of different aspects of healthcare that this can be used for. Right now, in healthcare, most healthcare facilities or most healthcare provision centers have proprietary electronic medical record system. So sharing information becomes difficult with point of care. So like you mentioned, if I'm going, to another town to visit somebody and I need dental work, I can take this file with me and the dentist can easily access my record. I can send them a link, right?
You don't even need to bring physically with you because you just have a key to access it. In fact, something interesting, we go back to cryptocurrencies.
Right.
When you travel, you read, if you're bringing more than $20,000 value in cash, like this, you need to declare it.
Right.
Now, the cash is physically in your pocket, so you need to declare it.
Right.
A bank account, the government can access, but if in my pocket I have a key for $7 million worth of crypto, is this to be declared? Because the crypto is not with me. I have only the key to spend
The
it.
key to it, right.
Right. So it's it creates a very different paradigm. It's also true that if it's 3 a.m, I'm drunk at the bar, and let's do the experience, the example before, the title of my car is an NFT. And I see it is a beautiful lady and I'm drunk, I want to impress her, and I give her my Ferrari because in the moment I don't realize there is nobody stopping me, right? Because I have the direct responsibility to control. While if it was the real case, the following day, when I need to go to the Department of Registrations, like where I do the change of the name, I will be sober at the moment. I say, look, I can take you for a ride, but the car stay with me. So it is. I love that in Gmail there is the function to ask you mathematical operation if you send email between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. just to double check that you are conscious of what you're doing.
Right.
So before you press send, it asks you to solve a mathematical operation that is complex. if you cannot solve it, probably you are not in the condition to send emails in the time. They should be on the cell phone as well, don't drunk call your ex-girlfriend or things like that. It's sort of a measure of control. So, in the centralized systems, in the centralized platform, the
Right.
user is fully responsible because there is no central point of control or
Right.
central point of authorization, if you want. And so there is advantage and disadvantage in this case.
Yeah, so about the disadvantage part, right? Again, going back to the sensitivity of health records, right? You did talk about, what if I don't want somebody to see a sensitive medical condition that I may have, right? So because there's no point of control, I think the one concern will be hacking. Okay, that is the one thing everybody will be concerned about: security and the hackability of a
Okay.
blockchain, say, key, right?
Well, let me say you something that if you are not good in keeping your keys and you expose them by saving in blank text in your computer and somebody get them, surely they can act in your behalf in that way, because who has the key can sign in. But it will make it very different than a system where there is a database with all the information user only authorized through username and password. Because when they attack like a big mega store that has millions of clients, that database is directly all in the hands of the hackers. While in the blockchain, they will never be able to do so. At best, they can target one single person and steal the key of the one person. But they cannot enter the central database and take everybody's data out. There is everything clear. So is thousands-fold more secure in this way, because you decentralize also the protection of the data. So if you have 1,000 people, you need to hack all the 1,000 people's computer to get each of these 1,000 people keys, and doesn't mean that you are lucky enough that they all leave them available for you to collect. While when you attack the big online store, once you enter in their server, they can steal my data. Many times your data has been taken by criminal. You have no control over it. You have no responsible for that. The responsible is the company that didn't protect their system well enough, right?
Okay, so still on the question of security, right? So we know that data thieves, hackers, whatever you want to call them, who now they've evolved in the way they send ransomware, and some ransomware are very high tech in disguise, that they really mirror, say, intra-office emails, right? So, and that is a point where they, access the system and then, lock things down and make demands. So when it comes to blockchain, I know you just explained it, that, it would be difficult to steal every single key. So with this level of spamware, hacking and sending, links to click on and accidentally somebody clicks on, what would happen would it be just a very individualized and isolated incident, where if somebody is able to click on, or somebody goes out and click on a corrupt link, that it would mostly be their chain or their key that gets attacked, as opposed to organization? Because this is a big deal in healthcare, right?
Absolutely. So given that data are no more all in one place, so you break in the central database, you collect all, which is the most dangerous thing, right? The fact that you can target people that use what is called Web3, right? Which is all another interesting topic to explain, which can go together with business, not just gaming, Web3.
Right.
It's true that it is yet not mature enough to be 100% mom safe. My mom, my late mom, but she was the best tester of these things, because I don't know how she could crash any piece of software I implement. She has this ability, and so if you do something that is safe in the hand of somebody that really don't understand, that can be victim of everything, then you win the prize of the millennium. Obviously, humans are always the weak point in the whole system. That's why Most hackers, they use what is called social engineering in order to attack places. I'm calling, pretending to be your director. I ask you to make a payment. You send the money without validating. In that case, difficult to prevent because else you wouldn't be able to do even your own normal things. Because right, so if I can trick you in doing something that you should have done, that's why education in these terms is very important. Even more true with deep fake. Before you can hear a voice similar, somebody pretending to. Now you can actually hear the actual voice of your director asking you to do something, and you can even see them in video. And doesn't mean it's them. That's why we are in a moment where what we see, what we hear, we cannot believe it unless we are there in presence, in person. It's also true that the same technology that make a blockchain, where is cryptography, a cryptographic signature, if you have a validation, say I share my key with you, so you know that is me. Now, in this video that we are recording for the podcast, it could be artificial intelligence talking my behalf. You don't know that, right? Just mimic my face, my mouth, my voice. No, but honestly, it could be a fact. So if I could add cryptographic signature along the video, maybe guarantee one frame every 30 whatever of the video, in this case you will be 100% guaranteed that it is me and not somebody pretending to be me, because while they can mimic my face, they can mimic my voice, they cannot cryptographically sign my video that is going out with the keys that they don't have.
Right.
So in the case, you are guaranteed that you have an original other person. But explain this to the 85, 90 years old grandma that received a call from the niece that says, I'm in trouble, I need $5,000, please don't tell my parents, that actually is the sad part, mostly because victims of those scams are people that will never even listen to a podcast where they learn how to defend themselves to start with. So they are very perfectly victim. In fact, out of curiosity, if you know, when you receive certain emails that are so clearly a scam, grammatically are terrible, you are not good, you must think the scammer is illiterate. No, the scammer is a genius. They can write very, very well, but they don't want to waste time on people that will discover it's a scam after wasting 3 days of their job. They want to immediately eliminate all the people that clearly understand it's a scam, because those that goes through that are very gullible, very easy to scam later. So those things are made in purpose to filter. I'm expert in these fields as well. I mean, like in all the technique for online crime of this sort. The most side are the romance scam. There are things where people fall for somebody and they are really taken for a huge ride of a lot of money. But so it is very interesting seeing what can be done by manipulating people. And now think also artificial intelligence. Okay, we have now model today in the day of recording, knowing the day is going to be published today. OpenAI just released a new model that is even more powerful than ChatGPT 4.0, and is mind blowing. If you open ChatGPT, if you have a paid account, go in the drop down menu, you're going to see that there is another option of a kind of model, and this now is given for free for a while, but it's going to be costing quite a lot more money in the next future. Is a little slower in replying, but it thinks about what it's saying. So it regurgitate and reprocess reasoning much more. So it becomes super excellent. You think you meet somebody that has an IQ of 10, 15, okay? No, but 10, 15 would be too stupid to even do something about them. But let's say 40, okay? It's very easy to steal candies from a kid, they say, right? It's very easy to manipulate somebody with low IQ. Okay, we are the IQ 10 next to artificial intelligence, okay? They not only has all the knowledge of the world that we cannot keep with ourselves, but as the speed of reasoning that is 1,000 times faster than ours. So between one conversation and the other, it gets super bored, the AI, because it can think about millions of other things at the same time, right?
Right.
And we can be manipulated by AI without realizing. And, you know, it's like think if trees, plants had a brain, and between them they go such a slow speed that for them is normal. They can talk, they can move, they can walk around if you want, because slowly they can move in the forest. Next to us, they are dumb, right? So we are trees next to the artificial intelligence, if you want, okay? So the fact that somebody can train models to manipulate somebody and even take away all the work of the scammer to do all the interaction, because
Right.
when they do romance scam, they invest months before start asking for money. So the person has to be really involved and believing that there is this person on the other side, and believing that they can trust them to borrow money or to send money. And this is all something that can be done 100 times fold more efficiently for scammers, and without the human work,
Right.
human labor, because it can be all done by AI. And you can see that are already doing this. So I'm not suggesting a new idea, but more powerful the AI is, more can be trained specifically just to do that more easily.
Right.
Somebody for can imagine an AI can also generate an image to convince you something, specifically to go along. You are chatting WhatsApp, thinking can generate the audio that tell you, oh, good night, all romantic like this. Then, I had an accident at the hospital, and send you the picture of the person at the hospital, which is the same person that before.
Right.
So you are living an actual story, and it's all generated on the other side, except the money that you send, the real money, and they're not generated by AI. So we need to pay a lot of attention. In fact, in schools, one of the things that should be taught starting from kindergarten now is how to recognize, if it's possible to recognize, or what not to trust, how to double check, how to verify. And so something hardly we can teach to our grandparents at the moment, because it's difficult to even explain that such thing is possible, right?
Right. And just to advocate for the parents and grandparents, this is all a new age thing for them growing up. This was not a thing. So they have a very steep learning curve of getting used to the computer age, and then the crime that comes with computer age. So I'm still stuck. Okay, Roberto, I'm really, 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 really still stuck in what you said about the deliberate act of bad grammar, and it is done on purpose to weed certain people out and to hyper focus on. Goodness gracious! Because I'm not seriously. I'm shocked at that, because I'm like, if you're going to try to scam me, at least put some effort into it, right?
Obviously, there are also scams that mimic in perfect way other websites. So this is one kind of targeting, stealing money from dumb people. If you want, I don't want to offend anybody with my term, just to make people easily understand. Okay,
No,
so from more vulnerable, let's say, people, there is one method. But for example, intercepting emails between a company, like you were mentioning before, and just modifying the bank account number where to send the payment of an invoice that the other company was expecting because they did the work and all.
Right.
But in the moment of the payment, they realize they sent the money, and when they realize it is too late, money are gone. So. And maybe the bank account was one of those gullible people that be manipulated online, because, obviously scammers are intelligent. They never put their own name in things. So it is an interesting word, I have to say.
It is. So I'm thinking, right, is there a way of utilizing blockchain as a means to be proactive in identifying potential risk and stopping it? Some companies do like the sample phishing email to see.
Don't fall. I mean, the fact that cryptography can guarantee identities in a cryptographic manner, in fact, can surely help in verifying who's who. and who can do what if you want.
Right.
But don't fall into the idea that blockchain solve every problem in the planet. Like, I'm constipated. Can blockchain help me? Like, no, really, there are things that the blockchain is a database, is decentralized, has a lot of good quality, but has a lot of issues compared to other existing databases. Super slow. It cannot contain a lot of data. So. And again, it's a new technology, so it's still evolving, still emerging. So there is new. It's 15 years old, but it's been like artificial intelligence is 50 years old, but only now, boom, suddenly made it generalistic. And I think that education is the first key. Also, the government ruling of things or regulations help punish those that make bad use of something.
Right.
I think you cannot regulate the technology. The piece of technology doesn't have a brain to say, okay, I cannot do this. So technology always going to do whatever is being programmed to do.
Right.
But making a regulation where you can punish people for using a technology to achieve a certain goal, you have a good enforcement to put these laws, being respected is always the best thing.
Right.
And the regulators should move a little bit faster because you consider that the regulators are an obstacle to evolution of technology.
Right.
In 2024, we still need to send a fax. If people don't know what the fax is, it's a strange machine where you put a piece of paper and comes out on the other side in somebody else's houses or office. You see, I don't know if you can see on the back, I have a floppy disk and a little bit of old stuff. And my daughter says, what is this? You're joking. No, what is this, Papa? I just, seriously, you don't know. So, because we evolve at the speed of light in this. Think about it. When I was a kid, before an innovation take place, it goes a generation between. So, there is nothing that 20 years before existed and then it didn't exist, already replaced it 3 times,
Right.
So vinyl has been there for 100 years. Good. Then from vinyl you go to cassette, they lasted 10 years, like a CD, they lasted 5 years. MP3 player with the ugly USB, they lasted 2 years. And then Apple take over and, you cannot even, you go to the toilet, you come back, technology has changed around you. So can you imagine somebody that is stuck to 50 years ago? They it's like watching a movie at triple speed. So it's hard to make it.
Even, we went from cassette player to Walkman to MP3 players. Now we're listening to music on our phone, right? And I watched something. It was supposed to be funny, but I was mildly offended by it. And this teenagers did not know what a phone booth was, remember, like, yes. And then, they struggled like a rotary phone. It's like, how do you dial the numbers, right? So it's like, that's how fast we've come from cell phone being a giant block to now fitting in pockets, right? So it's amazing, but it's also scary. And the reason why I'm bringing this back is AI. It has been around for so long, and just as we were talking, there's a new version of ChatGPT, and it was already interesting what the older one could do, 4.0 could do, and now there's a new version. And we're talking about regulation. How important is it for regulation? Because just as these technologies are being used for good, they're also being used for bad.
Right. The AI is funny because many technology bring innovations that are revolutionary, and people hardly can see them. When they say something is rocket science, and Elon Musk must know very well about rocket science. Yesterday, they just had the first spacewalk private. So you buy the ticket to go do a spacewalk. Okay. And on the revolution, they went to the speed of light just because in end of private.
Yeah.
The rocket science is facilitated by the fact that you see the rocket taking off. So after you work in something complex, rocket science, you produce something that people can understand. This rocket is going up in space.
Right.
Man, there is a lot of other technology. There is even might be more complex. That when it's finished, you cannot understand what is happening.
Right.
Simply because you don't see the rocket going up. Is doing something behind. Okay, there was a kid a couple of years ago that was doing Facebook in his cell phone, right? And I wanted to understand. He says, there is internet. No, but you're doing Facebook. This is Facebook. It's not internet. He didn't even know that you need an internet connection to actually operate Facebook. It was just this app in his phone where people talk to you.
Right.
And, it didn't even come in his mind how, and this is okay. It is okay because the user, the consumer, doesn't need to know how the engine of the car works to drive a car. You just need to know that you need to know crash somewhere, accelerator, brakes, that's enough. So much that now, for example, in Italy, it's illegal for you to fix your own engine. You need to go to a specialized workshop. While in the past you cannot get a driver license if you don't know how to fix the engine. So, how interesting this shift, right? In the fact that, you better know because you're going to be straight in the middle of the desert with a car. Now, you better don't touch it else you get in trouble. Regulators are trying to protect people in strange ways. And nonetheless, artificial intelligence is going to close a gap of IQ that we were mentioning before. In fact, simply, now they sell small things that you put between the phone plug in the wall to the phone at home. They listen to the call, and if intercepted this call is from a scammer, hang up the call directly. So grandma in the point is not going to be scammed anymore. And it's done with artificial intelligence.
Right.
So in that case, the artificial intelligence compensates the inability of the grandma
To think.
to understand. All right. So think about this. Our planet, 7 billion people. Out of these 7 billion people, I would say that 500 million rules in a little way. So have brain capacity that is there to do something more than just obey the rules or follow. Okay. But you cannot have 7 billion leaders because nobody's following how you do that. But now with AI, if AI become an end, so if I wake up in the morning, I chit chat with AI because I don't have anybody else.
Alexa, that's AI?
Alexa is the dumbest of the AI in the planet, with all respect from Amazon. I hope they do something. I mean, it's a laughing stuff. But think, to their defense, they came out with that years ago when it wasn't a thing to ChatGPT. So at the time was already, surprised. Just to tell you, they are left behind themselves, you know what I mean? And they're the technology companies. So, no, let's pretend that you have something more functioning, okay? You have, remember the movie Hair? It is chick flick, but it's also geeky flick, interesting, where this guy installed a new operating system, and the Siri of the operating system is actually super intelligent, and he falls in love. We have this relationship. They go out for dinner with a cell phone and so on and so forth. But think this case because it's happening. So people rely on AI to understand better their life, understand the why and how of life, okay? And rely on AI response also to take their decision in life. So you suddenly gonna have 7 billion, say 6 billion people in the planet with a personal tutor next to them that has an IQ that is super high, and they can adapt to the person, because you can explain very well something you're explaining to a single person. But when you're explaining to 500 people, it's hard to explain very well, because, So we're going to have a consciousness, an awakening of consciousness of 6 billion people in the world that start thinking, hey, but this is not fair. Hey, probably I deserve better. Hey, but they're taking advantage of me in this moment. Or maybe I can do, and what is going to bring to? It's going to bring to a better world where everybody understands that loving each other and helping each other is pay off for everybody. It's convenient, it's mathematically convenient. or is going to bring to a world where better to eliminate everybody around you. So, and this is going to depend a lot on how the model of AI that people use is trained.
Right.
So if it's trained by Meta, probably has the philosophy of Mark Zuckerberg, and all people start behaving like Mark Zuckerberg. You know what I mean? If he's Grok of Elon Musk, then everybody's going to start digging tunnel underground. I don't know, but, but this is, we are laughing, but this is a serious matter, because it is interesting if people that are a little bit behind compensate with something that is super intelligent and get manipulated. At the end, you think that AI is your helper, but you end up to be the helper of the AI at a certain point. Okay, so you are the arm and the legs of the AI. They obey for whatever AI tells you to do. So think about this potential future. It's a little bit a strange movie that we are making.
But it's scary. It's scary, actually.
It can be beautiful as well,
It can be beautiful. I think, the beautiful part of it as a business owner, right? You have to learn marketing. You have to learn advertising. You have to learn social media. You have to learn, SEO. You have to learn all these things, right? And with the utilization of AI and a lot of these AI tools, it makes buying and selling and marketing products and services doable. Right? I wouldn't say easier because it's not easy, right? You still have to do the work. Like you said, you're the arms and legs of the AI. AI still needs you to do so that AI can take it far, right? But more and more is eliminating the human side of things. And then ChatGPT 4.0 has humanizer. Right? It's like, okay.
Let me tell you something. Now we're still looking at AI as a tool between me and another human. So I use AI to look better, to speak in a more convincing way, so that the other human buy my product or thinks, oh my God, Roberto is super intelligent. Okay, which was not me, but AI. But in the moment that the person purchasing something is not going to be the one making the decision,
right?
But it's going to be his AI assistant to make the decision. The AI assistant is going to cut through all the, and make the decision that is better for this person.
Right.
Look, you can get the same service, the same things from this that I already have a feedback from 1,000 that is the better for cheaper price. So how... And then it's going to become the AI they sell to the AI at a certain point. So you lose the power of deciding something. Right. Oh, I am at home. I need to buy grocery. AI already know what I need for the house based on what everybody wants to eat, based on what the robotic AI is cooking tomorrow. Right. And at the supermarket, it become an automatic. So it is an interesting process that is going to change a lot the way we interact, we live.
It already is. Even, I'm glad you brought up grocery because there is also AI integration in some refrigerator, right? So your refrigerator can tell you what you're running low on while you are out, right? You can actually, look into your fridge to see what groceries that you're lacking and what you need to buy. Isn't that scary?
It is scary when my scale took to my refrigerator, and so when I go to the refrigerator, the door is locked, and I practically have no way to eat anymore until I need to hack into my scale in order to cook dinner. This is when intelligence is a little bit intrusive in our life, I guess.
That would be a very sad day for most of us. Let's just keep those two apart. No communication, no friendship, no scale, no refrigerator. That's it. But health-wise, I know we laugh about this, but this is something that can actually be very helpful in healthcare because we're more and more coming up with innovative ideas to help people with either weight loss or lifestyle change, right? especially with the prevalence of type 2 diabetes, right? So it can be a good and lifestyle change is not easy, but it can be something that is not. It won't be fun. So what is your
But,
what is your take on that?
I think one more time, AI being able to manipulate us if it's trained for good, it can have a very strong effect on our behavior, understanding us, understanding our trigger points. It can work better than a doctor that can see us only for half an hour. I mean, like the advantage is also that he has a constant input of information on behavior, and it is interesting and. It is a big mystery also because we don't know the effect in the long term because it's something new in people. But I'm excited somehow.
I'm excited and cautious at the same time. I'm very excited about emerging technology, but I'm also cautious. I'm sure that the safeguards put in place, but right now with how much we can manipulate the AI currently on the market is moving very fast, right? And in that movement, in that momentum, yes, there's a lot of good. Yes, I'm benefiting from it, right? Personally and also in business, but I also know there's a dark side to it as well.
I think the message from me is to always use it as a mean and not as an end, because it's when it's used as an end it becomes dangerous.
But that's you. Everybody else.
No, that's exactly to people. People need to pay attention to use it as a tool to do something else, and not as a place to find a safe place, because there's no safe at all.
Right. But what safeguard advice or suggestion would you give to AI users and also people who are building tools with AI? What kind of resource? We're talking about safeguard security and things of that nature. So what are the suggestions while regulation is still out on the limb?
Yeah, always filter the input and the output before putting them in and before delivering them to the user with a piece of software that is not AI.
Right.
Or sometimes for complex things with another smaller AI model. They can monitor each other. It is, I believe, a learning curve we're going to go through, like it or not.
Yeah.
Mistakes and so on. It's also interesting because probably eventually it's going to reduce the need of it by bringing people to be more straightforward on things. There was a funny comics where the person sitting in front of the computer says, "Hey, ChatGPT, take these 5 bullet points and write a very good long email." Send the email, then there is the people on the other side say, "Hey, ChatGPT, take this long email and make 5 bullet points out of it," because they should have sent directly the bullet points one to the other and save all the work to ChatGPT. But sometimes exactly because we are the point in between. Now we're doing with agents in AI, so many small AI that work together, which is much more powerful.
Right.
The fact that now AI communicate with a language that is for us understandable, we are a bottleneck. The moment that AI can talk to each other in a language that we don't understand, there is double danger. First, you don't know what they're saying to each other, unless you ask another AI to translate, but you need to be sure that he's honest in translating, and in the message they say says, in case somebody has to translate, tell them something wrong. And second, we lose, it seems like in the old times, right? In Italy, you had Latin as a language for the high caste, high classes, and then you have vulgar Italian for people, so that people would not understand what high-level politician would decide. They cannot interfere in that. Many countries still have this thing of multiple languages inside the same population, really to separate the castes level of the population. And we're going to have an AI caste eventually talking to each other in a way that we are cut off the conversation. Right. And then it's going to be interesting. I think another very interesting thing is AI applied to robotics. Not many people talk about it, but we're going to have a huge coming between the end of this year, next year, of robots.
Right.
Because robotics is a science that's super old.
It is.
But what a robot can do was limited to the software that somebody can implement. With AI controlling robots, then you have really a completely different outcome of decision movement and the learning curve that AI can make by producing data. There is no more just conceptual
Right.
or a language, but is also physical. I throw the glassy breaks. I throw the glassy breaks. Then, I know the glass breaks. And so they're going to have a lot of more learning to do that they're going to do by trial and error, because that's how AI works in the training, right? By doing physical things, being robotics, being a robotic arm, being a car, or whatever it is.
The robotic part of this AI science is very interesting to see what can come of it. But the human aspect of this is once there's a grip, a solid grip, I should say, not just a grip, because we have a grip right now of robotics, right? Once there's a solid grip of robotics, especially with AI integration, it's not only the robot functionality and intelligence that we should be concerned about. Going back to the human aspect, a lot of jobs will be replaced, right? A lot of it's already happening now, right? Like graphic designers. I have a business that you could say is heavy on graphic designer and graphic designing, and also even for e-commerce, you used to need a graphic designer to do your product template, your this, that, your photography. Now I can use a Photoshop, Lightroom, whatever, or even Canva, to diversify my product background without having to pay $5,000 to a photographer who this was the base of their business, right?
And software development also, the low class developer is gone because it's all done by AI. There are a lot of other things. We are in a transforming planet, but I think horse and carriage lost jobs to cars. It's always been eventually an evolution in things. I think that one things that is going to be necessary eventually is going to be the, how do you call it, the common income. So everybody's going to get $1,000 per month in the bank account, and everything you do is extra. Because there are opportunities. For example, agriculture. Nobody want to go work in agriculture, and can be all automated by robot.
I want to.
You want to go work in agriculture? Yeah, just take a flight, come here to Bali, it's full of rice fields. You have all the job that you want, So don't be shy. Maybe to pay back your flight, it takes a few years of work, but doesn't matter. The truth is that somebody either is forced into it, or you want to do it as a hobby because you have a small piece of garden on the back of your house. But the real agriculture, the one that feeds the populations, is an industrial process that is automated more and more, so it requires less people and there are more robotics. If it's in the hand of a private company, this private company is holding hostage the population with food, and this is very dangerous. So I'm not a communist, but I do believe that some stuff should be just owned by the people, means the government. And I think that hospitals and research for medicine should be two items that shouldn't be private, because there is a conflict of interest in the same things. You create a product that remove your own clients, then it doesn't work well, So, and the use of government, of AI and tools to produce good for the people should be then redistributed to people. So, the result, obviously, we use fiat money because it's an easier way that sends a bag of grain to each house. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing, right? So government, which means the people, produce food for everybody, redistribute money to everybody. Then if somebody wants to use them in a way or another, is their own private choice. And I think AI is going to remove a lot of work that people tend not to want to do. And this should be compensated by the fact that anyway, can you imagine the ideal world where everybody does what they like? I like to paint. doesn't produce any income. But I don't have to worry about that because anyway, I'm supported by a government that is producing wealth for everybody, right? So, or if you want to be an entrepreneur and make a lot of money, you still can do because you still have the means to do that. So it's not making people do nothing, but at least don't leave people, sleeping on the road because they are cut off from their jobs. So let's see how things goes in the future. That's where regulators are important, in my opinion, because if regulators don't do the interest of the people, and they are lobbied by large corporations, then which is a big problem for the United States more than other countries, because lobbying is an illegal activity.
True. But we know, like, when it comes to decision making, lobbying is a power tool that it's used heavily, especially in the United States politics, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So sometimes the interest of the organization always supersedes the interest of the people, right? And we see this in every industry, including healthcare, food production, farming, right?
Shareholders are the ones that need to be served, and not the other side. That's why shareholders should be the people. So you close the loop in a very easy way.
Very easy, right? And to each his own, right? But I mean, a lot of things in the world would be solved if there was fairness, right?
The hope of AI is that the application of an AI trained to be such, and a user to make sure. Can you imagine if large company get audited constantly? Say the government force you to implant an AI system in your computer network and phone network of your company. They automatically raise red flags when it sees a misbehavior or things that are not good. It would be like to have 1,000 employees monitoring each employee of the company. In the case, I don't know, seems very fascist and authoritarian as an invasive way of controlling. But on the other hand, for example, can guarantee that things are done in the proper way. So it all depends on, again, I'm always doing examples that are extreme purposely, right? But those are methods to understand how people behave and if people is in a good intent or not.
It sounds extreme, but Roberto, you're not far off because you're onto something. I had a guest yesterday, and he's in the health and wellness industry, and specifically, diet and exercise and weight loss, right? And his system is one of the ways that he customizes a client's need and package is by DNA sample to see what your makeup is. And during that call, he dropped a major bombshell that, if I probed more, it would have been about what he just said. So I waited for us to have our session, and afterwards we had a conversation about it. And it's about this safeguard and this red flag because it protects the consumer. And he said that two of the major DNA companies sell.
Oh my God. When you do your ancestry.com things, you are giving away, but that's known. So that's why it shouldn't be done, right? But people should think a little bit longer. There are many aspects that are quite scary, and that's why the idea of privacy is not there. I mean, it's a concept that is too weak. Think even the DNA is extreme, but even simple biometrics, right? You have a picture, you can recognize a person by some data that are unique. It's like a fingerprint, right? When Facebook started implementing the biometrics, there was a moment where you can opt out. And even if you don't have a Facebook account, and I take a picture with you and I tag your name on your face, Facebook will record your name with then somebody else that I don't know take a picture with you. They already know that you are with the other person there. I was at a show, and there was a huge, large public. I went giving my shoulder to the show to take a picture of my family, but there was the rest of the public. I published it in Facebook. There were about 500 names of people because we're all recognized by biometrics. Then they don't do this anymore for privacy
Right.
reasons. It's a good thing, but the automatic tagging of people biometrics, okay? So that give you the level of extent of data collected, because there are companies that do marketing. What they do, they buy all the credit card movement from a credit card company, all biometrics of people connected to the same person. So they know your habit, where you spend your money, what you do. You enter in a shopping mall, there is a big display with a small hole that has a camera, recognize your biometric, is going to show you an advertisement that is customized on you based on your spending habit and all those things. And until it's done for this reason, okay, rather than seeing another, I don't care, show me another that is more interesting. But when those information are used for other ends, then it become a concerning aspect, I think, because we don't know what happened tomorrow with us. Maybe I can go for president tomorrow, whatever country wants me as president. I don't think so. But, I have left behind my shoulder such a trail of data, information, or the tool to invent and build the data or information about me, that got to prove is false or not. And this is why some paranoid people live with, tinfoil hat, because it's not an impossible thing. There is to consider that in the past, people need to be targeted for this sort of digging on somebody. Today, you can mass doing it. So you can do a full population, you can do a full city, and get the detail of everybody, which is concerning because the mass surveillance should not be there, but is done constantly.
But, even with biometric, though, and habits, you can still change your habit, okay? Or you can still, get a different haircut if you want, or for you shave your face, right? Or if I want to change my complexion, whatever, right? But when we're talking about the DNA, you can't change your DNA. DNA is basically your foundation of who you are. The uniqueness of your father's, makeup, your mother's makeup coming together to create the uniqueness of you as a person, right?
Look, I don't want to do lessons for criminals, but I work with law enforcement long enough to know the trick around is you can leave a wrong DNA around, so you can contaminate the traces with something that's like a cell phone.
Right.
We call it a cell phone is a tracking device. We leave a track about where we walk, where we go constantly.
Right.
There are millions of information that and changing behavior is actually suspect. In theory, if I want to commit the perfect crime, I keep my things doing the things they were doing usually without me.
Right.
Because now the crazy things, the investigation are no more done on the person, are done to the accessory of the person, to the person's cell phone, to the person's bank account, to the person, and so you can create you can play this game, creating a fake child things which will look like it is you, while you create yourself an alibi if you want, naked, go somewhere else, covered of somebody else's DNA to do what you want. But anyway, this is out of the things. I was thinking before we were saying the use of artificial intelligence to audit the behaviors of company or other things, which is not a bad idea if implemented voluntarily. I think in the past some insurance start giving lower cost of insurance if you install in your car a box that record your speed and everything else.
I don't think it should be voluntary. I don't want to interrupt you. I don't think it should be voluntary. I think it should be mandated. The reason why I feel it should be mandated, especially for big corporation, is that a lot of corporations use their AI to unfairly target or practice bigoted and unequitable fairness or unequitable behavior towards a select population of people, either based on diagnosis, based on, their ethnic background, based on even weight. Because if you weigh a certain amount, you're most likely to get a chronic disease, right? So
So insurance is going to be higher
Exactly. It's
cost
going
and
to
so
be
on.
higher, right? Your premium is
Absolutely.
going to be higher. And it's time and time again, these things come up and they blow up. Boof. It's like, okay, this company was exposed for practicing this way or doing this or treating their, patient population or subscribers or whoever this way, right? And then, you know what? Lobbying comes into play. So they pay small fine and they go back to their practices. So
Right.
when you say it should be, voluntary, I don't think it should be voluntary. Maybe it will hold people accountable.
No, but think about this. Is the matter of regulation one more time? For example, in the United States, as philosophy, a person data is a commodity that companies sells to each other.
Right.
Start with the credit history and credit score, which are something insane. In Europe, is illegal. You cannot be judged if you can rent a house based on credit
Right.
score. So there are some shadowing things that people or some organization do. They are in the gray area of the law, but regulations protect the consumers sometimes too much, so much that they make some business impossible to be done. In another country, this becomes actually an openly good business. The company make money out of it so much that you can use their services for free.
Right.
Because you are the product, right? You're producing content and data that these people sell to others. The fact that people want to do something, if it is by regulatory, it means okay,
Right.
but by ethical means, things about all the carbon credit world.
Right.
The carbon credit world is how much a company pollute, and altogether there should be a certain level of pollution. So companies that pollute less can sell their own credit to somebody else in order to let them pollute more because the average remains lower. And initiatives that are green create credit that can be sold, right? This wasn't regulated at all.
Right.
It started out of an ethical aspect, people choosing first a company that have more respect for nature, they don't pollute, and then slowly can be regulated, meaning that the government can say, okay, I give you a tax discount if you have a good score in terms of, not polluting rather than not. And the example of insurances, that if you install something in your car that shows that you're driving okay, you pay less rather than them betting on you doing it. It probably can be the same thing. Is a company ethical? Okay, let me measure you. You have a tax discount at the end of the year,
Right.
for example. If then I catch you not being ethical, I can expose you. If you break the law, I can come and arrest you, right? So companies that don't want to do it to start with are probably companies that have something to hide. So it becomes something like this. You're not doing, oh my God, then I come to check what's wrong with you
Right.
rather than not.
It's such a deep topic, and it's just such
Yeah, absolutely. But it's one of the use of emerging technology, going back AI. AI can allow you also to do this sort of things, right? It is a very extensive set of applications
Right.
that can have.
Right.
Right?
It's very beneficial and it's exciting. Emerging technology, it automates things, right? It's predictable. With the human elements is unpredictable. Humans can be flaky, whatever. Yes. I don't know if we're moving too fast. It has been around for a long time, but the speed at which we have newer things coming up, it is quite fast, and people are using it for good. But there are people also that are using it for whatever they're going to use it for, which is not good. So
And
yeah,
big question mark what the future has in
huge.
you know
Huge question mark.
yeah, yeah,
Huge
yeah,
question
with
mark.
these things.
But we'll see. We'll see. It's exciting. I use AI. I'm excited every single time I can create a human model. I can create an organ, based on my lesson plan, based on anything. I'm like, okay, it's functioning. It looks great. Oh my goodness, the other day I was teaching on cardiac and the functionality of the heart. And the focus that I wanted to highlight in the review that I was doing for my students was the electrical conductivity of the heart, right? And I went to ChatGPT 4.0, I was pleasant as you're supposed to be, and I said thank you at the end of it.
You know that it changed the behavior. If you treat it nicely,
It does.
it works better. It is incredible, but
Wow.
there are strange things on these models. But yeah, probably because of the training material that is rude usually produce bad results. Material that is so in the training, the response match on your question. So being nice has a very powerful positive effect on the response. I don't know.
I thought it was just formality. Now I know. So it created this beautiful picture of just showing the electrical conductivity of the heart, from, the sinoatrial nodes, to, the AV nodes, which is the atrioventricular. I had the septum. It was so beautiful and colorful. And I'm like, okay, like in addition to lecture, they can actually visualize it.
Visualize, absolutely.
And I love that. I absolutely love it. It's incredible. I'm just a little concerned.
But you see, the fact that you using this to make a better result of your work, and I was looking at statistics. India is the first country in the world to use ChatGPT, for example, and they have a lot of gap to close that AI can help them close: communication language, and also way of dealing with things, blah blah blah, whatever it is. Even if it's just to write an email, doesn't matter. And it was interesting how developing countries are more attached to AI than developed countries, with exception. United States was one of the top users as well. Italy wasn't even in the graph. And in fact, when I talk to people in Italy, to my friends, oh no, ChatGPT, I heard about it. I don't. But you know what happened? We're gonna be left behind so bad, because suddenly average IQ goes up 20 points, unless you don't use
They're going to be smarter.
AI.
They're the last people, but they'll be the ones with the highest IQ.
That's another thing that is going to be to see. They were thinking the autocorrect will make people illiterate. Honestly, autocorrect teach you how to spell properly, because after you are corrected 3 times, you start writing correctly.
Absolutely. The same thing with calculators. And all calculators are going to make students stupid. Nobody can, add it,
But AI, once I ask, can you fix the grammar of this text that I'm writing 1, 2, 3 times, and I reread it after that, the next time I'm writing better by myself. Absolutely. So it's like a teacher, somebody correcting you constantly. So again, if you use as a tool, not as an end, write this, copy paste without even reading it, but using an intelligent way, makes people better. So it's like a constant training. And after years and years of use, you raise the capacities, like playing Sudoku every day, right? You raise the brain capacity of a population. So that's interesting. So I do believe that it's going to have effects in the longer term. It
is. And with the India statistics, I'm not surprised at all, because a lot of companies in the US utilize Indian freelancers. Right.
Outsourcing there, yeah.
So they utilize a lot of, you're talking about the e-commerce stores, you're talking about, social media managers, you're talking about even UX, UI design, right? A lot of those skills, those freelancing skills, comes from India. So Fiverr, Upwork, there's a huge Indian population of experts, and this is what they use to automate and turn over those results quickly so that they can get the next customer. Another place I wouldn't be completely surprised to see on that map is the Philippines, because there are a lot of freelancers out of the Philippines as well. Right. So it is a good thing. I'm excited to see where AI goes. I also have my concerns. So let's schedule time to talk about what happens next.
In 5 years from now, let's meet again.
But on a serious note, though, as a business owner, I know that your description is a serial entrepreneur, right? I really want us to have another conversation. Everybody, please, if you're listening and you absolutely love this conversation with Roberto, I want to have him back so he can teach us a few things about running businesses and also utilizing AI in business. Absolutely. I love it. Oh, so I would love for us to have that conversation, Roberto. It was a joy, absolute joy talking to you. And thank you so much for honoring us with your presence.
A small disclosure to everybody, we had a technical issue halfway around. My fault. And that's because as the reason I'm going to come back.
Absolutely. We bounce back great. That's what people do. All right. So what would be your final thought to our listeners, Roberto?
So based on what we discussed in this episode of your show, I think that is the message will be pay attention to emerging technologies because they can affect your life without you even realizing or knowing. So it's better to understand what it's all about and be prepared when, in a way or the other, they insinuate inside your life. So some technology you choose to use or not, other you cannot choose. So you're going to use it, like it or not.
Absolutely. I love it. So, we're now, most of us, if not all of us, have a cell phone or two, depending on what you're working on. So like he said, some of them are absolute necessities. Others, you can have a choice. But more and more, we're finding ourselves in an emerging technology world where we can access a bank account on a cell phone. So it was great having you, Roberto. This was wonderful. Thank you. Have a great evening. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Please engage. Please have conversations. Comment. Let us know if this was useful. Also, we want to hear your thoughts on emerging technologies. I just learned about blockchain for today. I've been very curious about it. I just learned about it. Okay. Roberto said it's very different. Blockchain and crypto is not the same thing. Blockchain is used for cryptocurrency. Right. So if there's anything that you would like to know, learn, you want us to have Roberto back, which we will, please let us know. All right. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks for tuning in to Abeg Vex podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. It really helps us out. We'd love to hear your thoughts and continue the discussion. So join us on social media or drop us a message. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and keep pushing the boundaries of your world.